This is the first session out of the series of 3 sessions which we do as a guest lectures from Accenture. And I think we have the next slide where we have our pictures, and when we were discussing together with Vadim what should we paste below the pictures, maybe how do we identify ourselves in that specific meeting, and what we found would be the most maybe useful and inspiring for the students, I believe. This is maybe the education story, and that our path to IT sphere of work is very different. And it isn't so that you need to make the decision, I don't know, from your birth, or maybe at the moment you are finishing your school, or earlier, or very soon after that. But for example, I am working in Accenture already for 7+ years. Now I'm in a PMO, project management office team lead position, and I'm supporting Nordic cloud first organization. But initially, I'm coming from a very different background. My first education was, I have a medical doctor degree from Riga Stradenski University, but then I decided that this is not really my path of life, not my passion, and I am not emotionally ready to work in that area. Then I tried to search myself, and I completed one more master degree, and I'm an HR specialist in the second education. But when studying HR, I understood that actually that IT sphere looks the most appealing to me. I started initially as an intern, and actually I stayed at Accenture, and I love what I'm doing, and I definitely see my future here. For how long I am planning, well, no one is planning now, maybe for 10 years ahead, but, and I have my colleague Vadim.
Yeah, actually, hello everyone. Actually, I hear a lot in this kind of industry that they like what they're doing and they're gonna stay. Um, Having experience working in customer service and flying as a cabin crew around the world, I was hearing mostly the opposite. So yesterday, if anyone was watching the Coffee with Alumni, I was sharing my experience as a LCC alumni. So I won't be talking too much about my experience, just saying that I finished graduated LCC as a business administration with a bachelor degree, and I've working for Accenture for 2 years already. I joined as through the bootcamp as a intern, and I definitely love what I'm doing right now. So let's move to the next one. I'll tell about Accenture a little bit more. So Accenture is a global company um, which provides professional services. It provides a broad range of services, solutions, strategy, consulting, and it employs over 600,000 employees around the world. And we have clients from about 120 countries, and which includes most of the Fortune Global 500 list. And Accenture was listed there as well a few times. I don't know about now. I think it should be there. Um, Me and Anna, we work for Baltic Advanced Technology Center in Riga, and the whole uh, technology center employs 200 to actually more than 2,000 colleagues. And recently it opened an office in Vilnius. So everyone who living in Lithuania have a chance to work for such a great company. And in our technology center, we provide services to about 180 clients from 28 countries, from very diverse industries, and it's we have lots of projects, and I think joining Lithuanian to our network will allow Accenture to have even more very nice and interesting projects in the future. So at our technology center, we're mostly focused on digital technology and operations offerings.
And Deborah have a question. Let's
Yes.
how we promised. Let's have it in a discussion way.
Yes, please. Deborah
You're on
can't
mute.
hear.
We cannot hear you yet.
Now
Maybe.
you hear, of course.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. In my Zoom application, I'm able to change the view to speaker view so that I can see the presentation of the speaker. I cannot figure that out on here.
You mean that you do not see our presentation, what we are sharing?
I do, but in Zoom, when I put the speaker view instead of the gallery view, I'm able to see only the speaker, in which case it's larger and I can more easily see what he's presenting.
So maybe we can do. Maybe Anna, you can do the spotlight.
I can do the spotlight, but the spotlight works for speakers only. The issue is that you would like to have slide to be bigger or the speaker to be bigger.
Actually, I want to see the presentation because I can't really see it in a small.
Yes, I see. Maybe let's. I don't know what will be the versions of Ola speaking. Actually, I have never had this issue because I just moved between monitors, but we wanted to announce it later that in case you want to look through the slides more carefully, we will be sharing them after the session. Hopefully it will work.
That would be great. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, and actually we will be, I think we agreed with Anna that we will create a PDF file with the slides and some links to the most interesting sources which we use for the presentation. And we will send a follow-up in 1-2 days so everyone could, like, if they want to go through it, they will be able to have this chance. All right, this is it about our Baltic Advanced Technology Center, and we're moving next to Anna.
And by the way, Deborah, I found it in the 3 dots where you have the options. You have the possibility to switch to the focus on content. At least I see it like this. This is the 3rd section. Then there are options gallery at top, focus on content and full screen. And when I have chosen focus on content, then I have the slide shown to me in a bigger size. Maybe try it.
So that was the show device settings. In the settings, is what you said.
Well, no. You press those 3 buttons and you don't press device settings, but you go lower. And for example, this for me, it is line number 8, focus on content.
I see.
Or maybe full screen. You can try to switch and to check which one works better for you. Yes. I had one more comment on the previous slide. Actually, this is how I started learning about Accenture when I was preparing for the interview, because for the bootcamps we also have interviews. And I learned that Accenture means accent to the future, because originally when people were founding the company, they were thinking and planning that actually delivering some edge technologies and working with latest technologies and frameworks would be one of the values which we will try to follow through the whole life cycle of the organization. This sentence written on the screen now: our purpose is to deliver on the promise of technology and human ingenuity. This is how we shape up our values and target in one sentence. But what is meant by that? Actually, that we care about the collaboration between technology and humans all the time. And in this collaboration, we care about creating the value for all the involved stakeholders. So we are not only thinking about how to create I don't know, services for our clients using the latest technologies, but we always care about how the client is feeling and acting in the process of collaboration, how the end user of the client will be what will be the impact on the end user, and we care about the internal stakeholders whom we call all the Accenture employees, and we try to develop on using those modern technologies and frameworks in all the possible aspects. And this is also usually the purpose might be visible in some other places, that it is defined as creating value on 360-degree scale. And what do we have next? Actually, that was my idea to include this slide, because for me personally, the values and the target of the organization, it inspires me, and I see it a very valuable motivation point for me personally, what we care about and what we defined as targets for our work. And now we will be speaking about the topic of today's presentation, technology vision. And we actually put a title for the main section of the day, Leaders Wanted. We had even a discussion about that, which title should we use, and we decided to go for that one. And we will be repeating this main message several times during later on the next slides, that the main message is, nevertheless, technologies are important, but to be able to cooperate within the ecosystem, to be able to gain the maximum possible value from those technologies, and to be able to develop and maybe in some cases survive when the external issues appears, we definitely need to be the leaders and the experts of the change. So definitely leaders among the people are needed, leaders among the companies are needed, and leaders are now measured by their skill of change management significantly. Vadim? I do not see the slide. Yes, so I don't know what was our plan. Please.
Okay, so actually, what is technology vision? Technology vision is a report. So for more than 20 years already, Accenture has developed the technology vision report as a systematic review of enterprise landscapes to identify emerging technologies and trends that will greatly impact all industries. So there are like three main inputs to the report. First is the Technology Vision External Advisory Board, which consists of more than 20 people from public and private sector, academia, and so on. So they are our advisors and experts. Second is our big technology vision team, which conducts interviews with technology and industry experts, as well as with nearly 100 Accenture business in leaders from across the operations and organizations, and as through the organization as a whole. And then the most important is our survey, which conducted every year among IT business executives around the world. This year it was over 6,000 executives from 31 countries and 14 industries. So this is quite a big work that is done every year, and you can imagine how much information and insights Accenture has accumulated throughout the years, and Accenture is able to predict what awaits us in the future. So we're going to be talking about 5 technology trends, the names of which you can see on your screens. At the moment, I will be touching each one of them in more details. Don't worry if you don't have time to read through them right now, because we'll be sending the materials. And well, if you're watching it as a record, you can press a button. So moving to Anna, who will start talking about stack strategically, our first trend. To you, Anna. But before
Yes.
that,
I have already posted a note also about that. In case you don't want to speak, or maybe you have no possibility to unmute yourself and speak. First of all, you can share comments or questions in chat, but also we have created a Menti survey, and now you can whether scan it with your phone and you will be directed to that survey, or use the link which I pasted in the chat. This is the link to the same survey. We have a question there. Actually, this is not this is not a test for you, but this is a way how we would like maybe to get a feedback from you. What would be your ideas? What are the possible examples of one or another technology trend which we will be discussing? So when you are listening, we will be glad to hear from you ideas. In case we will have something what we see should be discussed, then I will share the result and we will discuss. But also in the end of the Menti survey, we have an evaluation, because this is our style of work. We always, after doing something, we are happy to hear the feedback, how it went, what would you like maybe to hear more, and what should we change to make the presentation more relevant, interesting, and engaging for you. Yes. So use the any way which you would like to cooperate with us, and let's go to the next slide. And we are talking now about first technology trend, which is called stack strategically. And what I want to say now also to point out, which seems to me very important now, nevertheless, we have those trends called technology trends. It doesn't mean actually that we will be speaking purely about the technologies used. Of course, underlined always there are some top hot technologies which are used in the IT industry. But in order to be able to use those technologies wisely, you need to use all those trends to be able to succeed in the business, or maybe even sometimes in personal life, if we do not include this technology side, but we think about those trends only as some guidelines about the overall organization. So stack strategically. It relates to the technical architecture on one way, but it covers also the overall business development significantly, because nowadays no business is a pure, I don't know, business independent from the technology. Every business, how we say, is a technology business, and we had the possibility to feel it during the previous 2 years, especially when we have those COVID situations, and any small, I don't know, food provider, for example, in order to be able to continue to run its business, should make this decision to go to the online to be able to provide the services. And some other good examples, we have 2 examples for this trend. The main idea that you need to think in advance and you need to think big, not to try to solve one single problem with one maybe introduction of new technology, but you need to think ahead. What would be the possible value areas which can appear after that technology introduction? And I will try to demonstrate examples from my life, how I see them, which I hope are easy to understand. And for example, in this case, I am describing the situation about buying the first phone for a kid. That was this situation was in my life like 2 years ago. Initially, there was just a demand, and we decided, well, okay, he is starting the school, and maybe we should do it. Then we went to a shop and we bought something what seems reasonable for us, and actually we didn't think a lot about it. We just went to the shop and bought something what all of us found valid at that point of time. But after that, and this is a lesson for me to be considered for the future, actually we due to the fact that that phone was different from the ones which I and my husband were using, we got a lot of issues with when we learned more about children using the phones, and we found out that we need to consider the security, we need to consider the collaboration possibilities, we need to consider maybe even the payment sharing between the phones, so that the kid would be able to buy a food for him or go to the shop and again buy something. So in this case, that was a failure for me, that since we didn't think ahead, we didn't use this tech strategically trend, after a very short period of time, after I believe a month or 2 months, we were we should have bought another phone just to avoid all those issues and to be able to use all the possible advantages of introducing this new technology in the life of our kid, and especially, for example, like using the security related applications. And now we will have one more professional example, and in case you have your ideas, what do you suggest for this trend, please share them. We will be happy to discuss. Vadim, please
Anna,
share.
do I understand right that just a small question from me is that it was like compatibility issue between operating systems of phones which you use with your husband and your kid's phone? So
Yes,
basically, it was different environments.
Yes, it was different environments, and so this ability in the end to use the full range of services provided by one or maybe another actually company, both Apple and iOS, and on the other hand Google and Android, they are providing a huge range of different offerings related to kid security and kid protection from the content, and I don't know, maybe information sharing between the accounts. But if you are not using the same technologies, actually this synchronization is not working very well, and actually that was a pain point for me, that I wanted to get the information, but for example, information about the location was shared with the delay of 6 hours. Well, it didn't work for me at all.
Right, thank you, Anna. I will tell about my example, but not from life, but a business. So as Anna said, every business is a technology business now, and some businesses which we would never think as something technological becoming one, and they're choosing the path of technological digital transformation, and they're already seeing the results. And if they don't see, they will definitely will be able to harvest all the results and opportunities in the future. The example if is Ralph Lauren, um, which is a fashion company selling their famous polo shirts and lots of other items online, and not online only. They have lots of stores around the world, but they are introducing new technologies in what they sell and how they sell it. Um, they start with something not that unique, which is not that unique right now, but they're already using for a long time, is printing on demand or embroidery on demand. Basically, you open the online page, you select the polo shirt or sweatshirt which you like, and you can choose designs which are prepared for you. Different combination of colors, embroidery, labels. And the store and you pay for that and you get it delivered. Basically, what it means for the store that they don't need to pre-print anything, send it to their local stores. They don't have to guess what the buyers will like the most. So they don't risk of having this warehouse of full warehouse of items which are not demanded. And buyers, they actually participate in co-creating the item for themselves. So it adds the value, some emotional value to the product that they buy. But that's not it. They moved further to something that is called manufacturing on demand. Now they're giving people opportunity to actually design their own jackets. Well, it's not at the moment. It's not some fancy jacket. It's like more like a sporty jacket that you can wear during autumn or spring. But what they can do, um, what customers can do there, they can select the color of the sleeves, the main body color, the design of the embroidery, and the zip color. Basically, what it means that if we take like a shirt or a t-shirt, it's already made. You don't need to do anything there. You just print something and send. Here, all the parts, the sleeves, the main body of the jacket, the zip, they're not sewing together yet. So basically, before sending it to you, they need to do extra work, not just printing something there, but actually creating the item from the parts. Uh, and this is something that probably not many companies do. It's something unique, and if uh, they are not doing it yet, they will do it for sure. But Ralph Lauren is one of the first ones, and they will surely have this time to come up with even more ideas, and they will be winning the competition during this time until everyone else has joined. So they're defining the future of the industry. They're creating this stack of strategies which allows them not to follow someone but recreate the future during this time of change, during these new realities that we face. Another program is digital ID program. Basically, every item which is made on by Ralph Lauren gets a digital ID. So every item now is unique in a digital view, and its QR code is added on every item. So what possibilities does it open for the Ralph Lauren is that you can scan the first is when you scan the item, you can check that it's not a counterfeit. Of course, it's if you're buying from the official store, probably it won't be a counterfeit. But if you're buying at some other store, you can check that. For example, you're scanning a hat and you see that it gives you a jacket on the screen, that definitely this QR code was stolen or something. But these IDs, they're created on an agile platform. So it means that they can add more functionality to it. For example, imagine opening an app where you have your account, scan the QR code, and this item was already registered as item belonging only to you. Uh, And here, Larathron can use the data of all the items, where they're located, which markets are the most loyal markets to them, or they can explore new markets where number of items in the area is not high. So they can make data-driven decisions, which will shape the way the company works, advertises, and grow. So moving to the next one. It's a.
Should
It's
we
a.
have
Yes,
a
Anna.
small, I will check quickly if we have any comments on.
Yeah.
No, seems that no, we don't have. But I think this is this would be great if anyone wants to speak and just share your reflections on what we're speaking about. This story of Ralph Roland of this government manufacturer was possible because of the fact that they made this decision of starting to use the technologies, and in this case we are talking about cloud and maybe I forgot how this is called, which is used in the bitcoins.
Blockchain.
Yes, blockchain for creating the unique numbers. So they made this decision earlier than their competitors. And when you are not in a hurry, for example, like many companies were stressed because of the COVID limitations, and they were they start using cloud and online shopping and start using all those, and they didn't have enough time to consider all the possible advantages. They just created a shop very quickly and tried to move their sales from the offline to the online. But in this fantastic case, actually, those people were thinking ahead of many of other company leaders, and indeed they are those leaders who are very needed now in all the areas of the business, and they managed to see the value of technology usage even in such not super related activity as production of the clothes earlier than others. So the main advantage of that, of course, also realizes in the revenue difference of them and their competitors, those who start doing something what differentiates them has the possibility to grow faster. If any,
This
yes.
is very true. But anyone has any questions so far?
Seems no, but I still wanted to make a pause and maybe give a chance.
Yes, this is actually everything that Anna said. Very, very true. The idea is to prepare yourself for the future and make sure that you don't follow what other people are doing, but try to make extra effort and define something that will lead your industry. And this is actually can be applied to every one of us, that we create our future by defining what skills we have. But let's switch to, if no one has any questions, let's switch to the another trend called mirrored world. So as we're moving to the digital age, like we are already in the digital age, there are more and more data collected every day about all type of things. If you even have like an electronic watch on your wrist, it collects data. It collects data about your heart, number of movements, and so on. In a way, this electronic watch, the fitness tracker, it creates a twin of yourself in a digital world. So it some of the most advanced watches like I don't know, Apple Watch probably would predict a lot of things based on that data. And this trend is about digital twins. So we can create a digital twin of anything. It can be a part in your car. It can be a whole system, the whole car, or if we look at the factory, it can be in the factory we have lots of robots, and it can be a network of robots, the whole system. It can be the whole supply chain or even a city mirrored in the digital world. So digital twin is a virtual representation of a physical object. And this digital representation opens a wide variety of opportunities for businesses and public sector as well, and for every one of us. We can use prototypes, run simulations, predict outcomes based on the data which we receive, and automate processes without risking the operations which are going right now. Basically, we can test all kinds of possibilities, variations of decisions, and before implementing it, without risking or stopping some of the lines at our factories. The example which I have chosen for this one is Port of Rotterdam, is one of the biggest ports in the world, and what they're doing is that they've installed and keep installing sensors around the port, which collects data about weather conditions, water conditions. They have sensors on the buoys and the port walls. And it's collecting all the data in the real life. So it's real-time data. It's analyzed by artificial intelligence, and this artificial intelligence allows to be used in different ways. First, the most important is how the ship is parked in. Let's imagine that the port is a huge parking lot. Let's use this analogy, and the ship is parked at his parking lot, but it's not as easy as you may think from the first. It's a complicated process. The artificial intelligence can predict at what part the ship should stop, where is the deepest part of the port where it can unload containers so that it would be much lighter and it would be able to continue movement to its parking lot. It decreases this process of a ship entering the port and actually being parked up to 1 hour. But you might think that it's not a big number, but actually the port of Rotterdam doing this process for thousands of ships daily. So 1 hour would cost about $80,000. So this is a huge amount of savings for their customers, and which it means in the age when number of shipped goods is constantly rising, that it will allow to work organize the process more effectively and make sure that there are no congestions in the port and customers get their items early, that you get everything you ordered on the Christmas day, that parts for the factories are arriving, and that some of the producers will be actually able to put something on the shelf. So what else?
Yes,
Anna. Yeah. What?
So you still have something to speak, or should we
Yes.
move?
There are some more implications of that. Just to show examples of how else this technology can be used. Port of Rotterdam has ordered software which would allow to communicate between the smart port, this artificial intelligence solution, and the smart ships, which would also, the smart ships, meaning that they also have lots of sensors installed, and it's using also some artificial intelligence solution. So the both of them would be able to communicate. What it means that ships with such technologies and the port can connect into one network and use all the data to increase the efficiency of the whole process even better, even more. How can it be done? For example, the port analyzing the weather conditions at the port and communicating it to the ship that, okay, now the weather is not good for unloading your goods. And the ship can decide that, okay, I will not enter the port, but maybe there is some barge or specially constructed platform where all the containers can be loaded. And later, when the weather conditions will be good, this platform will be ready to enter the port. But the ship, after unloading, can enter the port and start loading already new containers when the weather conditions are good. So there is no waste of time. Or companies can create partnerships. For example, they can analyze the data which they get and maybe decide that there is another path for the ship to make sure that the goods are arriving in the fastest way. It's like on the Google Maps when Google gives you the best route based on the traffic jams and lengths in the road. So maybe it would take you more kilometers before you reach your destination, but it will be quicker.
What I would like to comment here, how Vadim mentioned that companies can create a partnership, and actually it corresponds to the fifth trend, which we will cover later, which is called from me to we, and the whole essence for that is the creation of ecosystems and partnership, that no one is operating in a silo anymore, and in order to create a better value for clients and in order to get better revenues for the companies, actually this is very often it is wise to collaborate and share the responsibilities. And then when we are working together, how we say, we are not getting just the sum of the work, but the end result received is multiplied with some digit depending on how good we are collaborating. Well, I have a short example, and I want just to highlight a few main points. In order to create a digital twin, the main idea that we need to be able to collect as much information about a thing or maybe a person, how Vadim mentioned, as possible, because the main idea that we want to create exactly a copy of one item in the online, and after that collecting the information during a timeline. I don't know, it might be a shorter or longer period of time depending on how many data we have available, or maybe when we started the process. Then we have the possibility to maybe to test this item. How will it perform in different circumstances, and what is the possible improvements to extend the life cycle of it. And for example, this is my example which I like the most. One of the companies which were specialized previously only on building and selling windmills, they actually try to analyze what are the other possibilities for them to develop their business, because the ability to produce and sell is very limited. We don't have all the not all the countries can use this way of energy producing, because maybe in some locations there are not so many windy days. But since every company has a target to grow, they were thinking and they decided that actually they have collected a lot of information about the already previously in the past installed windmills. And they have analyzed all the collected information, and now based on that knowledge, they are selling and created like the new offering for their customers, or maybe those companies which were not their customers previously. Maybe they bought the windmills from somewhere else, but they are able now to sell the advisory services for those who are owning the windmill or the windmill plant, about how to set up the windmills in order to have a better performance and efficiency and the energy being produced better. This is the way like of the value created based on that usage of those technologies and this trend. Let's move further. I think that we will delay a little bit 1 hour, but those who can stay, please stay. This next trend number 3, iTechnologist. Well, it is quite easy to understand by the title what it includes, but maybe I will first mention some technologies which are counted to be, which we include in this overall trend. Here I would be able to speak about some examples, including natural language processing, low-code platforms, robotic process automation, because the main idea of this trend is that this trend makes powerful technology capabilities accessible without the need for specialized skills. And nowadays, we don't need to spend too long time to be trained to be able to use something, because the usage of technology includes always the creation of new technology usually involves the user experience part of development, and everyone tries to create a product which will be as easy as possible in the usage. And we are now able to learn new technologies and become tech savvy easier than ever. We don't need to spend 3 or 4 years in the IT education, but in case you are indeed very interested, you can choose one specific technology, learn about it in a short time, and you will be able to create a product which you need, for example, for your own needs quite quickly. And again, let's move to my personal example. However, Vadim examples are presented before mine. Can we move to the second example first? Since I am speaking, yes. This is an example that, again, from my kid experience, that the age of entering to the IT industry now is significantly lower than it was previously. And for example, my kid, when he was only a 5-year-old, he already attended the programming lessons in Lego school, where they were actually programming. First, they were creating an item using the Lego special collection called Lego Mindstorm, and after that this item was connected to the laptop, and on the laptop they were able to program using the predefined collections of activities, and they were it looked just fantastic that they just connect a few squares, and in the end this item was able to perform some operations, and all the kids were super happy. But it actually also develops the logical thinking for kids. So, and definitely he is now more savvy in technology usage because he is using Siri on maximum, but I am still very new to that. Vadim, will you present your example?
Yeah, I will definitely use this Lego for my kit in the future. Let me. There you have actually one more example. Do you want me to let you continue.
Let's choose one. Which one you would like? Let's cover Power BI better than the Schneider, because this is very.
Okay. I will just add
yes,
a few
valid
points
for-
after that, which are important to know. Yeah, please continue.
So Power BI dashboards, this is a way of creating a very nice, accessible and easy to adjust dashboards, in which you can include not just the static view on the graph or maybe a table, but with possibility to include some editing options, and the person can define what kind of the graph of the chart, for example, he wants to see in the charts next to that. And this technology, again, previously it was done usually by programmers. We should have provided them the plan, what we would like to see in the dashboard, and they were programming to be everything to be displayed as we need for the business, from the business side. But nowadays this programming is happening. This is not a programming anymore. This is a low code technology, for which I don't need to know SQL query language anymore, but I am working exactly similarly as I work in the Excel, but the end result exceeds the previously available possibilities.
Yes, this is actually what I'm also working with, but I work with developers because we are developing much more like complicated dashboards. And here, what I wanted to point is that people who are working with their process, they know their process much better. So giving the chance to people to train them is actually opportunity for companies to get closer to this finishing technology transformation, and people are able to automate their own processes, which allows more time for something more innovative, come up with new insights, improving even more what they're doing, and bringing more results for the company. It doesn't mean that IT specialists will extinct. They will just be more working on the cutting edge technologies or on something much more complicated. And from the example of Schneider Electric, um, we can learn that actually in Schneider Electric they allowed people to create bots, but then in the result the bots created silos. Some of them were breaking the existing processes, and it's a point where we need to all learn that even when you have this democratization of technology, you need to first learn how to use it correctly, to consider all the risks, all the security risks, breaches, which can creation of something, some of the bots can cause. That companies need to invest in training their people before. Well, otherwise this whole process will get out of the control and it can harm everything that we're doing instead of bringing the result. So let's move to the next trend. Anywhere, everywhere. Anna, please continue.
Thank you for reminding that was the plan. Again, by the title, you can understand this is a super hot trend, which definitely impacts all of us. Even now, we are not meeting in the university, but we are speaking in the online, and we have the possibility to share our presentation with you and to have it visible and easily accessible to you. And we have the possibility with Vadim to cooperate working from different places. But actually, this is a much wider trend. Let's see at some examples and some important discussion topics which relates to that area. So for the Ericsson, for example, anywhere, everywhere example would be that introduction of the 5G technology for the connectivity allows now indeed the telemedicine practice when the surgeon can be located in one country and the patient can be located in another country, and because of the fact that there is almost no delay in comparison to other connectivity ways, nowadays we finally got this possibility that one great specialist located in another country would be able to help people in different locations of the world, and he or she wouldn't need to spend time on travel and feeling the negative aspects of time jet lag. Accenture, we put it here. Why? Because how I said previously, we all have this possibility to work from different locations, still to cooperate on the same level as it was before the pandemic. All the files and functions are available for us as an employees to be done from home. We can sign any kind of papers, submit any kind of request to HR or to other internal practices. And on one hand, this is great. Vadim, your example?
Yes. Well, in Accenture, we have it's actually a great opportunity having like working from home, because, for example, in my case, it would take me a daily 2 hours commute because I live quite far away from the office, and I know that many people they're working from a different city, and for them it would be taken even more, or they would need to be worry about relocation and so on. And having this possibility to work from home is actually beneficial for some of us. But I would like to tell more about the Twitter, their experience. This is the company which started to employ remote workers earlier than others, and it started way before the pandemic has started. And they found out that there is a need in changing of how we work, because the remote workers still participating in the everyday work, which is happening offline in the office, and they shouldn't feel like they're excluded from the community. Second is that they have less possibilities to make some of the contributions. So when their um, performance review cycles arrives, they shouldn't be kind of made a second sort people. They should have maybe some of the different criteria of grading their performance, not like for people who are able to go to the office every day. And there are also some of the things that we wanted to tell. So what do we need to consider when we work from home or we organize work from home for someone? First is security. Uh, Basically, there are many companies uh, who work in very sensitive industries, like with information data, which is very sensitive, like banking, insurance, medical, and so on. And um, when allowing your employees to work from home, you need to take care of the security. You need to take care of the technologies which you use to make sure that the channel that they're using is protected. For example, a very easy thing is to change the password which you use for your Wi-Fi router, not to use the one which is printed on the box from the manufacturer, because it can be stored somewhere in a database, can be hacked and stolen. But just making this small thing can create a big difference. Anna, you wanted to talk about cultural shift.
Cultural shift, yes, this is an item which is being considered all the time, and the final decision has not yet been done. But this is kind of an open discussion about since the work environment is changing and has changed significantly, and the style of work, how we do everything is not the same as we did it 2 years ago. And still the new cultural norms of how to perform the online meetings or how to collaborate in the online, what would be the good practices for doing something or not doing something in the online. This is indeed not yet clear. Not all the companies and employees and people has the same view. But for me, for example, this is a nice example, and I see the difference exactly in the way how people are approaching this fact. And this is indeed very interesting. Like nowadays, most of the collaboration happens in the online. We have no possibility to meet our colleagues, and especially since we are working in a multicultural environment, and usually the projects are being delivered from different locations, so each of us is communicating from people from other countries and locations. And still there is no common view on how to run the meetings. And for example, the way, if you connect with your camera on or without your camera on, of course it can impact the connectivity, but this is also a way how communication culture is being developed now. And I definitely value, in a time when we have no possibility to meet our other people so frequently, we're just spending huge amount of time at our homes, to have the possibility at least to see a head of a real person, and it creates a value, I would say. And purpose of the physical office space, again, another open question which is being discussed all the time. We most probably we will never return to the previous approach, when all the people should have attended the office in order to be able. And in future, that would be a hybrid method, when some people will be working from client locations, some people will be working from home, some people will be working using the phone, someone will use the laptop, and so on. And we have one more trend left.
Yes. From me, maybe for the previous one, can add that some of the possible usage for the office is that, for example, somebody don't have any possibility to work home normally. They don't have a room where they can close the door and stay away from the kids and to work like a normal person. So they might choose the office. So maybe some of the companies will decide that they don't need a one huge office there where they pay huge bills, but maybe they will just rent uh, one room somewhere in different parts of the city, so that people who want to attend the office, they can choose even closer location to them than going through the whole city on the other end. Or the office can be the place where people build, do the team building, meet each other, celebrate something, where they actually need to be together. Because, for example, some of the team building sessions that we have, they're all going online, and they're not going quite successful sometimes, because you can't see other people how they're moving, and it's like it is building relationships, but not as effectively as if we would be all in the same room. So moving to the next trend is the last one, from me to we. From the name, you can understand that now the more opportunities arise from actually cooperating with each other. If you're like a lonely ship in the sea, you have less opportunities to survive the high waves of the disrupting technologies, some issues like pandemic. In the last years, we've seen that many parts of businesses are very fragile. Some of the supply chains were completely destroyed. If one factory in China is not able to work for 1 month because of the lockdown, it means that some like very big part of the world is affected because they are not able to produce their complicated technology products without one small part. So there is a need to build new foundations to make sure that these foundations are resilient to the changes that await us in the future, that they are adaptable, and the information shared between the parties is secure and trustworthy. So let's move to the real example I have is something that is not yet fully implemented, but the possibilities of that project are enormous. This is something that is very close to me because I was working in the aviation industry and can tell that it's a very, let's say, it has a lot of bureaucracy there. There are many rules because lives of people depend on those rules. If something wouldn't be followed, then something bad can happen. This company, Vertex, is creating a digital platform, like a digital marketplace, where producers of the spare parts, like Boeing, Airbus, and the other manufacturers who can do the 3D printing of the parts. It can be 3D metal, 3D printing, plastic 3D printing, and the end users, the owners of the airplanes, can actually buy the end product. How is it implemented? It uses the blockchain technology, and it can certify that the parts which are produced are actually real. The big issue for the industry is that there is a lot of counterfeit in the market, and if there are no enough paperwork for a part which you use, which you change in your airplane, you're not able to fly. If there's a small part without documentation, you can, you install and fly, you can end up being very huge fees for doing that. What does the blockchain allows you? Every part in the marketplace is a digital twin, something that we were talking before. It's a unique 3D model, a digital representation, which end user can buy and select a nearby store, workshop, or even make it on their own premises. If they have a 3D printing machine, print the detail and install it. This 3D model, digital 3D model, has already all the paperwork attached to it. So there are sometimes cases when the item is printed, it takes like 2 days for a metal part to be printed, but the paperwork needs to be done in 2 or 3 weeks. So the airplane can't fly without the paperwork. With this digital solution, the paperwork is already there. What are the values for the intelligent property holders like Boeing and Airbus, that they get paid the royalty? There is less possibilities for the counterfeit to make it to the end user. The people who produce these parts, they don't have to have the warehouse with the details, so that's it's lowering the cost of storing some of the parts. It decreases the time when you actually place the order and get the part at your facility. How is it working now is, for example, you place the order, you negotiate with the I don't know, factory which produces those parts. You pay probably not online, you don't do the digital payment, so you transfer the you do the general banking transfer, so it takes time for the money to arrive, and then the part is shipped in a normal way, and it can take up to 200 days or even more for the part to arrive. Having these 3D printing solutions, you click on the item, you have a 3D printing machine at your facility, and it's done in 2 days. With plastic parts, it's even quicker. So, for example, your airplane is boarding, there is some plastic part is broken. By the time you arrive to another city, this part can be printed, installed, and the customers which are flying back on the airplane are not affected, and you don't lose revenue. So it's a win-win situation. So this technology of blockchain allows people to connect, to build more trust in the system, since it's a distributed partnership. So the more and more producers, customers, and 3D printing producers connect to the network, the more stable the supply chain is. So there's gonna be no situations when one goes down because of some nature catastrophe and the whole supply chain is affected. Now this partnership allows everyone to operate as normally, even if one of the parts is affected by some not unwanted things. Right, moving to Anna.
Yes, one more example, and again, very close to my life and actually to everyone possible listening life. This is example of creation of ecosystem of collaboration between Accenture and university, and I have added here the example of Start IT organization in Latvia, but this particular session is also an example of what we are doing. And actually now I will speak a little bit about why we care about it and why we are very interested in doing such activities and in making this different collaboration network and activities stronger. At the end, the aim of this activity is to improve results of IT education, to make people who are finishing the university ready to start their careers, and increase graduate new joiners in the company, of course. And the example of Start IT organization, this is not only the collaboration between Accenture and universities. How you can see, there is a lot of other stakeholders involved. And the main idea for that was, first of all, the first wave was dedicated to the target to create a special education course for all the Latvia Informatica school lecturers, so that they all are well educated about the hot technologies and topics, what is going on in IT industry, and even in the school they are able to provide necessary, maybe to teach modern IT skills to pupils. As the next wave on this page, it is possible to find different learning modules which were created in collaboration by Accenture and other companies, which are dedicated to specific areas, and you have the possibility as a pupil or maybe even as a IT lecturer from school or anyone interested, even not related to schools or IT sphere yet, you have the possibility to apply for those courses and to learn in the online something new and to get some skills in case you are interested, or maybe you don't know yet if you are interested or no, but you just can test yourself. I think this is the last example from our session, and no, we have also the GaiaX program. This will be more complicated. This is more related to technology, and one of the items discussed about the security and data compliance issue, how we discussed previously. Most of the companies are moving their operations, data, and processes to cloud. But there is an issue that it depends on the location of the company and the location of the data. Every country has a separate list of policies, local legal requirements, and maybe this area-specific legal requirements which regulates the data storage and processing area. And for example, there is an act in America signed many years ago, and which actually creates the need of the sovereign cloud creation in Europe. And it states that any company which is originated from America, no matter where the data is being stored, American government has the right to access the data in case of urgent need. And the thing is that many companies, especially if they belong to private or health sector, for example, for public or health sector, they definitely are interested in using the advantages of the cloud technology. But due to that fact, which I just said, they have the limitations, the limited possibilities on using the public cloud provided by Google, Amazon, Alibaba, or Microsoft, because of those limitations. And in Europe, we have a very strict GDPR and Schrems 2 rules describing how the data, which contains European people personal data, should be stored, transferred, and processed, and who should have the rights to access this kind of data. And GaiaX, this is a program which was created as a collaboration of two countries, which I think is a great example. Those two countries are now, of course, this is not just the governments, but there are also business sector involved. But they are now discussing and working on the creation of the sovereign cloud. Sovereign cloud, it means that the cloud location which can provide services to the local companies, and all the data processing corresponds to the local legal requirements. That would be a competitor for the AWS, Microsoft, and Google for the local European business. And actually, similar discussion happens also in other locations, because in Europe, in comparison to America, we have on quite small territory, we have a huge amount of countries, and not all of them belong to European Union, and the legislation can differ significantly. So indeed, there is a need, and discussions are happening in many locations currently. This is the last example, and we had also a call for action for those who.
Well, we can add maybe just very shortly that this is the report for the last year. The new report is going to be available in a couple of months probably, so you can check the website on one of the next pages, I believe. But the trends which were published before in 2020, in 2019, they are still actual, and if you are interested in checking what are they, I think maybe even there are like official online presentations available on YouTube, so you can try finding for them. You can check online. It's a very interesting piece of information. And Anna, do you want to add on this slide?
Yes, this is a slide dedicated to agile concept of adapting to quick adaptation to change. And maybe 10 years ago, there was a possibility for everyone to choose what would be the right business management approach and what would be the main IT process delivery or maybe some other business development technique. And you had the possibility to choose between the previously used waterfall approach and agile, but nowadays actually everyone can feel it that the changes are not just happening frequently, but we are living in the time of constant change. The change is here to stay. And again, how we said in the beginning, leaders will be and are already now measured by their ability adapt to change and not only embrace it, but also maybe in some cases catalyze it and be the leaders in, how we said previously, in using the latest technologies, in creating the new areas of development and including new areas of value creation for the companies and so on. This is why, how we said in the beginning, leaders are wanted, and leaders not only between the companies, but also between the people planning to work in those companies.
Thank you, Anna. I think, yeah, this is the very important message. But now we have a call for action. If you would like, you can go ahead and fill out all the Menti questions that are out there by the link in which we showed in the beginning of the presentation. There are online materials, and you can use this QR code on your screen to enter the Accenture website, which contains technology vision materials. You can also reach out to us personally, asking your questions, asking about technology vision and Accenture. If you are found yourself interested in IT, there are a few resources. Well, first of all, we have two more sessions, which do I have the slide for that?
Yes.
Yeah. Two sessions. One is very practical, which is going to be on the 8th of February at the same time. It's the everyday technology which Anna and her colleagues are using to automate their processes using Power BI, Cloud, and MS SharePoint. And another one is about agile methodology, Scrum, and we see Kanban. Will be presented on 15th of February. It is useful not only for people who are in development, but if you are planning to work in, even for university staff. It's a way to organize your work so that it's transparent and some tasks can be done even quicker in a collaboration. So it's useful to attend it for everyone. And we have a bootcamp season right now. You can see the schedule on your screen and the QR code with the link to the bootcamp website where you can read more about the bootcamp and apply for it. So please be very welcome to do that. Because we need new, young, full of energy people who are ready to meet the new challenges with their open minds. And I know that the LCC students are very open-minded and always ready for the challenge. And thank you very much for attending this call and watching the video. Anna, do you have anything to add?
I think no.
Okay.
Thank you
Yes.
very much for your presentation. I wanted to thank you, both of you, and it was very interesting, very informative. And hopefully, I will record it everything, and we'll see. Maybe we will share it with other students who were not able
Mm-hmm.
to participate in the meeting. Thank you once again, and
Thank you
see
very
you next
much.
time.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
if you able to share it with us as
Yes,
well, it would be very nice.
yes, definitely. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a good day. Bye bye.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye bye.